What's up, everybody? Welcome to FigNight, the official fig show of the Wrestling Figure News Source. It is me, the OG Fig Kid, joined as usual by this guy, Mike Belcaster, and the guy right down here, right underneath the thunder from down under, Nick.
G'day, ladies and gents.
Storm.
The Australian icon is in the building and is here for another FigNight. I cannot wait for this.
Wearing a sweater and looking no better. What is up, Nick Storm?
Dude,
that popped me, man.
Winter. What is the temperature by you, Nick Storm?
Hot.
Dude, I can get it up right now. No, it's I mean
Whoa!
because I'm in the room. Let's be honest, right? Because I'm in the room. Right now it is 63, tops of 70 today. Nice and partly cloudy.
Cold. That's not cold. What's up, guys? Look, we got Nicole in the house. We got Matthew, our friend Matthew Goldberg, the Goldberg we really like. The Call Up Podcast. Kenny, what's up, buddy? How you doing? And guys, if you're not watching on Twitch yet, head your ass over to Twitch right now. It's your last chance to enter and win the AEW shop exclusive Kenny Omega. All you got to do is watch on Twitch, comment like Lord Kiba just did. Cello to you too. Just got another entry into the contest. How awesome is that?
Cello to you too.
We got Tyson in the house. Yes, don't worry, Tyson. Tavern members are ineligible to participate. They will not win. I've entered all the names into the wheels. At the end of the show tonight, I'm going to go and add anybody else who comments tonight. So stay here, stick around, see if you win the Kenny Omega shop exclusive. Oh, our buddy Daniel Friedman in the house. What's up, Dan?
What's up, Daniel?
We got to get you back on the show, buddy. It's
a lot of familiar faces here. I'm loving this. This is great.
It is great. Guys, go to the Turnbuckle if you haven't already. Follow, like, and subscribe everywhere you possibly can. Twitch. There's so many different places. Go to our TikTok. Our TikToks are still growing. It's great, guys. So make sure and join the Discord because you never know when we're going to be having another watch party. You just never know. And when you can
we talk about that watch party real quick? That we had a hopping weekend with this with Ric Flair's last match.
When I was at work.
When you were at work, it's not my fault. You have things to do on a Sunday.
You have priorities.
4:00 in the afternoon when Ric Flair wrestled his last match and ate dinner.
Ate dinner.
It was great. It was a fun time. And thank you for everybody for joining us on our Discord. It was super fun. We had a blast, man.
Discord is a blast, guys. And when you're done with
like 20 people in there at once.
Yeah, we were bowdy and rowdy.
Call the Tavern. Let us know what you think of FigNight. 304-404-2004. Hear your message play on a flagship show. Leave us a voicemail.
How do we win again? You got to comment on Twitch. Go to our Twitch channel.
Comment on Twitch, and you're entered. It's that simple.
We're gonna spin the wheel like roulette. See, this is a lot of work, but it's a lot of work for a good cause because you are going to win one of 3,000 Shop AEW exclusive Kenny Omegas. Speaking of Shop AEW exclusives, I just got my second John Moxley in the mail today.
Nice. Mine's coming tomorrow. So my second one.
They were dragging.
Let's jump into the news real quick. Not much, but let's just jump into it.
Let's do it.
And now to figure news.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for figure news. This is my best think. Let's start off hot. Honky Tonk Man is getting, I believe, his first Foco bobblehead. $55 going up there. Look at that. All that style and grace going on right there. Looks like Hawk right after vacation. It's a good time.
That's Hawk in Vegas, baby, right there.
That was Hawk in Vegas several times. Inside the Kenny Omega box and everything. That's exactly how he looked. 1 out of 720 only. Make sure you guys go pick this up. Foco is the king of wrestling bobbleheads. So make sure you guys go check that out. Speaking of Foco bobbleheads, it's a good time. Ruthless Aggression Foco mini bobbleheads set of 6. $150 only. Another one of 720. This is really cool. The Eddie Guerrero is fantastic, but it looks like a WCW Eddie Guerrero. But I'm here for it.
I love it.
I love him. The Booker T sucker.
I love it. It's a set of 6, but I count 8 there now that I'm looking at it.
Well, it's listen. I didn't write the notes.
The notes on the website said 6, so interesting. So
86. We're getting 86 Ruthless Aggression mini
bobbleheads, guys. I cannot wait. Pre-order yours.
And we're gonna do some starter math, brother. That's 1 of 720 times 8. That's 5,400 million Funko bobbleheads for only $100. Go pick
them. Third of a chance of winning.
And what's
there's no chance.
News, Mike?
What else do we got here? Woo, baby! If you guys weren't looking at Ric Flair's last match, if you didn't want to spend $200 on an autographed one, we have non-autographed Major Bendy, Ric Flair, and Jeff Jarrett's right up there at majorpodmerch.com. Comes with your choice. You can get Jarrett or you can just get Rick.
No, it comes with a Jarrett. You can't just get
you have to get a Jarrett. I'm sorry, you have to pick.
You have to pick. Wrestler not included.
Which was perfect for me because I never ordered the Jarrett's because I wasn't getting a Conrad Thompson figure. So now I have a Jarrett and a Flair. I ordered mine today.
You didn't want to put Conrad Thompson sitting next to you on your podcast station, podcasting with you.
Hey, it's Conrad.
Hey, it's Conrad, Mr. Front Row at GCW. Slow clapping for Joey Janela. It was beautiful. Great things. Yeah, super pumped, man.
What do you say we bring our guest in, guys? You ready?
Let's do it. Yeah.
I got something for you this time. I got a guy I want to
talk to.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, we got no audio. No worries.
There we go.
Yeah. Man, I can't believe I was on mute for that.
It was beautiful. I backed you up. I had you on the firework noises. I'm a sound effects guy. We got you.
Very nice.
A magician never does this trick twice, but you did, and I think that's a nice exception.
This kind of magician does. This magician does it more than once.
But guys, dude, if you do not know who this gentleman is, this handsome young fella, this is Tom Sanford. He was a part of all the Ringside Collectibles Figure Insider, especially when I was growing up. I was in my formative years. This guy was teaching me all about wrestling figures. He's a nice little chat. Also, Dramatico Rising and stuff like that on social medias. Tom, welcome to the Turnbuckle Tavern. Welcome to FigNight, my man.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Mike. And thanks, OG Fig Kid. Thanks to the whole crew. I love Turnbuckle Tavern. So very exciting to be around and talk to you about whatever we're going to talk about. I can only imagine a few things, right?
Well, I was going to think about 1920s historian stuff. I figured it's right up your alley. The birthplace of Abraham Lincoln joining wrestling for the first time.
Why not?
That's what we talk about here on FigNight. When we talk about U.S. presidents.
The next Ringside exclusive is the Abraham Lincoln with the gun show. He's gonna be ready to go.
I'll tell you, I've spoken to a lot of people. A lot of the people who watch FigNight, and I get more requests to have you on the show and people who wanted to hear from you than anyone else.
Ah, man. Well, that's great. Honestly, anytime you guys want to have me on, just let me know.
More people want you on the show than they want me on the show. It's nuts most times.
That's good.
Yeah, the way it should be.
He lives here too. He just literally sleeps under my desk. I set him up a camera. That's why he's in perfect position here. It's great.
Are you also in Australia, Mike?
Sometimes it depends.
Oh, geez, wow.
Mentally, it's all a mental game.
Dude, thanks for coming on. This is so exciting. But let's start back at the very beginning. When did you first fall in love with wrestling? What are your first memories?
Oh, geez. My first wrestling memories, if I'm saying first, I can definitely remember playing the NES Wrestlemania game. And also a lot of it comes through video games for me. So I was never I guess we'll say the golden era or whatever. I wasn't really watching wrestling other than I can remember like Warrior in the Snake Pit with Jake the Snake, like getting remember that was like every once in a while I would see like a random Saturday morning segment like that, but I was in no way like I'm just being like honest. I was in no way like obsessed with wrestling until like 1997, 1998, like as the Attitude Era started to kick in, and I was like hooked between like the video games that I had played like Super Nintendo games. Now at this point you're into like Nintendo 64, so like WCW NWO Revenge, that was a big one, and then also WrestleMania 2000 is where it really like took off, and I was just like stuck in the middle of everything I could, and it was like a lot of fun for me and for I have two brothers. It was a lot of fun for us because we used to like kind of be at each other's throats, you know, as brothers can be, Malcolm in the Middle style, where you're like always kind of beating each other up. Wrestling was like the one thing where we all felt like on an even keel. And so like we would all kind of sit down and shut up and watch back and forth between like Nitro and Raw. And we were into both of them. Like for sure it was like, okay, commercial break, like here's Nitro, here's Raw, like back and forth, even as like the war was going on and all that. And maybe like to an older person watching, like there's a lot more, you know, Raw's better than Nitro, like that never happened with any of us. Like we were stuck on WCW just as long as we were stuck on WWF. And I think for sure at that time, we all kind of fell like hard, fast in love with it. And then the kind of the weird thing about it is like by 2002, like right at the start of the ruthless aggression era, I was out of it. Just like that. So I was like really, really, really like painstakingly into it for about like 4 or 5 years. And then suddenly I was just like, hey, I'm going to do other things. And it wasn't until joining Ringside years later that I was like, in 2008, that I was like, man, this was a lot of fun. Why did I ever stop doing that? You know? So
it actually took you joining Ringside to get back into wrestling.
It did. Yeah. I was like, that like kind of dark period in between, the only thing that I can remember really seeing or hearing about was when Eric Bischoff was doing like HLA on TV, if you can remember that.
Oh, yeah.
When he was like hot lesbian action, like, which is just so ridiculous. But you know, at the time I was like laughing with friends about that. But even then it was not enough for me to be like, okay, let me watch again or something. I just kind of, I don't know what it is. I don't want to say grew out of it because I found it and got excited when I did join Ringside, but it's hard to pinpoint exactly why. I just kind of moved to other stuff at that time. I was in college. I thought I was cool. I thought it was like a younger thing and
sports.
Exactly.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. And then so you get this job at Ringside, right? And you're having to watch pretty much every weekly wrestling TV show, and you had a show called Ringside or Riot, if anyone remembers. And you're kind of reviewing the shows, but with figures and stuff like that. And sometimes it'd be very hard and tough to sit through, especially because I know we've talked about it for a little bit. So yeah, talk on that. It's just was it just hard to sit through that certain era and try and make content about it?
Yeah, it was like, so to kind of jump back into it, I was like, my all-time favorite wrestler is X-Pac. So for me, it was at that time a lot about kind of the individuals, and it was still close enough to like the 2002 era that I was like, well, where's X-Pac? It was hard. It was very hard for me as someone who had been like really into him and really into like Stone Cold to move on from that. And I didn't, almost immediately didn't really take to like John Cena or anyone like that, or Randy Orton. It just, I was kind of like, man, these guys are kind of corny. What's cool about them? And so I think I had way more of a connection to like the Edge and the Christian and the guys that like I knew were in the Attitude Era beforehand, and like Booker T and stuff like that. Like all the guys that I knew that were like staples of the Attitude Era that weren't getting like mega pushes like Cena and Orton were. I was just constantly like, oh, can we please just like put them on the same level as like Cena and Orton and the guys that week after week, like you're kind of shoving down our throats. And, you know, that term gets thrown around now, like way more easy, you know, like to have someone shove down your throat. I think at the time I didn't realize like to what level I wasn't having that. And now, you know, 10, 12 years later, for sure, you can see what it's like when someone gets shoved down your throat way worse than Cena ever was. But I was like weekly on the show kind of trying to just find like something that gave that kind of real like authenticity and excitement for me of whoever it was, like whether it was like, you know, eventually it would be Cena, right? Like I think more highly of him now that at that time than I did at the time. At the time, I just didn't want to see him at all. And now I'm like, well, actually he was like, you know, seeing him feud with Punk and whatever, like there was definitely like some decent storytelling and some decent conflict going on. And it was like a lot more enjoyable than I gave it credit for being, you know?
Absolutely. So, yeah, no, I remember his feud with Edge, and I was like, when is this going to end? It felt like 7 years, and it was like, really, it was only like 6 months.
and then like they revisit it too so often, right? So like the Cena and Edge was like, oh my God, can this please be over? But it was like not even close to as intense as like how it is now, where like Brock and Reigns were all like, oh my God, are we really in this and like seeing this again, you know?
Yeah.
So I do kind of think I was maybe a little bit harsh at the time, but it was honest. I always felt like among like the young people and stuff like that, collecting figures and watching Ringside or Riot every week, that they knew that I kind of wasn't lying about what I was saying, you know? And I that really always meant a lot to me, that like I could get a really authentic voice out there in a place where, you know, WWE's backstage type, you know, this is also like the early days of influencers and stuff like that. So WWE didn't really have a lot of that sort of thing in their programming, or like they hadn't really taken over the internet in the same way yet. So I knew a lot of people were listening to me at the time in that way. And because of that, I was like, look, this is, you don't have to accept everything that wrestling gives you. You can have expectations and you can enjoy it. But if you're not really into something, like make sure you're telling them, like tell them at a live show, right? Like who cares if they pipe in like boos or cheers over the post-production? Like if you're there live, you paid for the ticket, right? Like you want to show who you do and who you don't like. And that always came through for me on the show. So
no, absolutely, man. We get a great question from our one and only good friend, Matt Goldberg. How did joining Ringside Collectibles come about?
Matt Goldberg, shout out. There he is. So I joined Ringside Collectibles I had just graduated college earlier that year, 2008. And so I was like, I went to school for film, and I was just kind of bumming around. Like at the time, at any time really, if you don't really have like film connections, you don't get into production right away unless you're really like hardcore pushing for it. And I certainly wasn't. Like I was in college. I'm not going to call myself like lazy, but I was just kind of hanging out that summer. Like, okay, here's my last like summer of being a person in school. And so about 6-7 months later, there was an event called Ringside Fest happening that was hosting Ric Flair. And one of my best friends was already working at Ringside Collectibles, working on, at the time, eBay and Amazon listings for them. And so I went down to help with Ringside Fest because I just needed some work. And John, you know, the owner of Ringside Collectibles, thankfully we got along great really quickly. And I was already kind of based in New York because that's where I was at school. And so I just kind of left where I was in Massachusetts and came to New York, came close to the Ringside headquarters at the time. And I just started doing like warehouse work and customer service work until John and Trevor from Ringside, they had just kind of an honest conversation with me and with us, with my friend as well. And they were like, we see that you went to school for this. Like, we want to start a YouTube channel, and we don't know quite what to do with it yet. But what do you guys think? Can you put some stuff together and we start doing like video reviews and stuff like that? And I said, sure. And so essentially I became, kind of this hybrid production manager with video and stuff like that, marketing manager with making sure that I'm involved with, what we work on for exclusives and things like that. And then also the on-camera host and essentially talent for it. Just kind of this like through anything I could have like possibly learned at a job like that, I got at Ringside, and they gave us the opportunity, and we kind of ran with it. And it started with those, welcome to Ringside Collectibles Figure Insider videos. And then as time went on, like for exclusives and stuff, it's like, let's hype this a little bit. Let's do like some skits with, maybe a little bit more of a budget or something. Like, why not have like some fun with this stuff? And then that, the skits and the exclusive videos were really popular. And then that's what led to Ringside or Riot being popular, being able to do that in a way that was, I think, hopefully enjoyable for everyone at the time.
Yeah. So, no, I remember them. I loved them.
yeah. It was a blast, man. I'm glad that you do remember them. I think it's kind of crazy to think that we're like over 10 or 12 years removed from some of those, but the ones that are there, that they're kind of like in the annals of
I always have history. Those like those nostalgic videos I go back and watch, and sometimes those Ringside like Ringside or Riots, or sometimes some of the I put them on them, I'm like, oh shit, this is how wrestling was back in the day. It was so awful. Oh my god. Zack Ryder in a wheelchair being wheeled off to the stage. I'm
like, my goodness. A modern classic.
With Eve right there, and the Kane love triangle, dude. Life was weird.
They were trying very hard at the time. So
for sure. Yeah. So I listen, I was a part of the forums. I was a part of everything. I kind of followed your journey as much as a normal regular Joe would. But I mean, you did Ringside Collectibles, and then at some point you broke away from Ringside and you tried to break into the wrestling business as Dramatico. Hopefully I did some more dramatics for it. But tell us a little bit about that, because I mean that's so interesting. I mean, I've worked the indies a few years. I love doing it, but like, how was your journey, man?
It's been an interesting one, and I wouldn't ever quite say that it's over. And I don't mean that like I'm still trying to break into the wrestling business, because like my goals are different, I think, than other people's, and I've accomplished a lot of them. Like, I've had matches, nobody's ever seen them, unfortunately, and stuff like that. But
you gotta post them. I love to see them.
I don't know what's on tape and what isn't. I'm kind of like nervous of what the ones on tape might look like, but when it matters, you'll see it. We'll put it that way. I did. I left Ringside Collectibles. I kind of had hit my ceiling, we'll say, at the time in terms of the kind of work that could be done there, and I knew I needed kind of more experience and just different things to happen. And so the actual in-ring stuff started at the end of my time at Ringside the first time. I was training at NYWC, which New York Wrestling Connection is a training facility. This is where like Myers and Cardona went way back in the day. They started there, and so I was able to put myself in a position after all like the interviews I did. And I realized, like, actually, what do I really love about wrestling? It's like that wrestling itself, right? Like, maybe I should try this. Maybe we should tape it and kind of make a documentary. And so we did. There's still like, I still have, dozens and dozens of hours of footage of like my first wrestling training at NYWC. There's Dan Friedman. Yeah, Mikey Whipwreck. He's right. And I only met Mikey like once or twice, but I was at that same, training facility. And so what happened was, the same time that I left Ringside and moved to Boston, I was like, I just because I'm leaving Ringside doesn't mean I want to stop training. So I came to the Boston area, and around here we have a great school called the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. And so I just got right in there and started training, and I've just literally been on and off there, is the best way I can put it, for the past like 7 years, because there have been times that I've been like really, really committed to it, and that I've gotten like really, really good, and you know, at least in my opinion, in at least like kind of hanging and having decent matches, and then something will happen in my life that I just like, quite honestly, am like, you know what, I can't commit to this. And I just kind of drop off the face of the earth. And I think there's, pardon me. There's two kind of schools of thought with that, right? There's some people, I think, in the indie wrestling business that take it so seriously that they can be like, well, you know what, if you're not in here, and this is like the mafia, man, and when you're out, and you can never come back, and blah, blah. But meanwhile, I never found that true. Like, I think you don't want to go in and half-ass something, or be like a person that's terrible at it, and because people get hurt. And that's like my biggest issue with it, is like, there are definitely people that have been around this entire time, like claiming to be wrestlers, and, you know, when they're not, like, when they necessarily shouldn't be claiming that, because they half-ass their time, even though they're around. And I don't want to be associated with those people. So I've never gone out of my way to like put myself out there constantly. Like, I kind of hate the whole social aspect of indie wrestling. Like, you kind of don't have a choice these days. Well, I have a choice. I chose not to like constantly just be throwing Dramatico out there, unless like I have something fun to throw out there. Like, you've seen over the years, I'll have like this video or that video or something, because it's like, okay, I finally feel dedicated enough to have some time. But I'm not going to like just be around just to be around so I can get like attention on myself, you know, like I want to be around and wrestling and doing things when I can like solidly contribute and solidly train and practice, because I'm, you know, I'm not a natural, for sure. Like, I definitely like, I've learned that I'm an athletic guy in the right ways to be able to participate. But I'm certainly not like, you know, Matt Cardona, who doesn't need to go to practice, and he just like is like, oh, I just I join I do my matches and that's it. Like, I'm not that guy, so not gonna
Matt Cardona,
put anybody in danger that way.
100%, man. No, absolutely. I mean, listen, I've taken breaks, came back. I do commentary and I do ring announcing. You know, nothing extravagant, but little puzzle pieces to the show. And you have to feel it. If you're not feeling it, you're not going to go into your job or your dream job, even if you're not 100% into it. So totally
I'm kind of that way
man.
when it comes to like wrestling figure reviews and stuff like that. Like, I'm trying not to push myself, because like creatively, that's my like creative outlet, is like editing these videos and recording them and stuff like that. But I feel like when I just do it naturally and I actually want to do it, rather than, okay, I got a new figure today, I'm going to review it. You know what I mean? I enjoy it a lot more. And so I think that's what I gravitate towards. So I get that 100%.
You have to be having a good time, right? And I think I've had some really good times with independent wrestling, and I've also had some like really bad, annoying ones, which I just like.
This is the business.
Yeah, it's just kind of how it is, you know. So it's no skin off my back to kind of jump in and out when I can and enjoy it when I can, and hopefully like some of the last goals that I have in my head. I'll make happen. I'm not too like worried about it one way or the other. Like, there are a lot of people in that zone in business who they're like, oh, I need to, you know, people long past the possibility of it, who are like, I'm going to main event WrestleMania someday. And I'm kind of like, you should probably, you know, relook at the way you're thinking of this, because it'll be a lot better if you don't have kind of like these kind of wild ideas that aren't necessarily going to work, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's disrespect to independent wrestling folks who do it like every weekend. And then in not only that, like days of the week, there is a grind, and it's a lot of hard work. And I would never take anything away from that, but just can't be involved unless you can, I can grind in the same way, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So you're saying Dramatico, Royal Rumble, 2023 is gonna possibly maybe happen.
How much fun would that be, right?
Number
I'm
30
going
is
to try to
dramatic.
get into the casino battle royal. I'm going to try to be in both.
I love it. There you go. You'll be the first ever to do it.
You're gonna book it. Dramatico versus Daniel Friedman.
Ooh,
that sounds
Tavern grudge match.
Man, I don't know if I can hit as hard as Dan Friedman.
So yeah, kind of come back to how you got back into Ringside. I mean, you were there was a nice gap. You were gone for a while. I missed you. I know that for sure. I know a lot of people on the forums missed you.
People in the comments were like, "Where's Tom? Where's Tom? We missed Tom." Dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was commenting it, of course.
I was there, man.
I missed everyone too. And the funny thing is, like, I was here and there for different things, right? Every once in a while, I'd pop up at like a Comic-Con and do like an interview or what have you. But yeah, I was gone about 6-7 years. I've been working at essentially what was like an advertising agency in between then, and working way more on all different kinds of productions, like video, graphic design productions, like podcasts, and tons of photography work. And then just building a really amazing team at this place of different producers and things to work with. So I really kind of needed that kind of experience under my belt. And I think that just kind of ran its course for me in the way, in the type of content that I was working on. So a lot of agencies do things like, there's a lot of unfun, it's kind of a mean way of putting it, but unfun video work out there, right? Like healthcare, and already I'm like rolling my eyes. Like another term that you'll hear in that area is like B2B, and like it's so nice that I'm just saying this and you guys are like, I don't even know what that means, because like it's just like kind of snooze fest stuff in a way. And so my job for 6-7 years is like, take this really boring stuff and make it as exciting as possible. And then I was just like, we're at a point where I don't know if I can make this any more exciting. So I really kind of need to look for something else. And, Ringside, I've always had a great relationship with, thankfully. I just had a few discussions with them and was like, is this something that, could we work together again? And, there's also like a whole kind of behind the scenes in the kitchen aspect of Ringside that, we don't really like make too crazy public or anything like that. And there's a lot of work that goes into working at Ringside Collectibles. And I was able to have a discussion with them and we talked, and how do we make this work? And we found a way to make it work. So I came back very, very quietly about a year ago. We had some discussions like, oh, do we make some fanfare about it and get everybody hyped and excited? And I just kind of was like, nah, let me just jump back in and act like I never left, and so far, hopefully it seems like we're having a good time. There's certainly the nostalgia is way up, right?
This is the worst episode I've ever been a part of. No, this is fantastic.
we see your figures over your shoulder. When did you start collecting? Was it when you first joined Ringside?
Oh, geez. Well, the funny thing is, I get like fidgety with them, So when I first joined Ringside, I had like some jacks. The way that I think of it is like, because I don't like to be like excessive with them. I'm not like a give me one of every single thing type collector. I never will be. I understand the people that are, but for me, that's like a lot of work and a lot of room and a lot of just a lot going on there. So I've always just kind of cherry picked the ones that I like the best, like whether it's like a favorite character or something, right? So I would say I've like, I don't have much left for Jax. I have like one, I have actually some prototypes and one Ringside employee exclusive, which is like a Jax, the tribute to Stone Cold. If you remember that one. So I have that Stone Cold in package with the BMF actually on his vest, which if you remember, there was a little strip of black paint that was on almost every single one, covering that up. So I have the uncensored version of that one. And that's kind of it for me for Jax. And then Mattel and AEW, I have like, a bunch of I'll just grab like the loose ones that I like. And this one, for example, this is the Ultimate Edition Stone Cold. I sent to the Fig Freak, and Rob went ahead and gave me some middle fingers here on my Austin.
Shout out Fig Freak.
Yeah, we love Fig Freak, man.
So Fig Freak took care of me on this. And this is the kind of thing, like I'm kind of like a one character and done type guy, you know? So I've got my Austin, I've got my Rock, and like if something comes out in the future that I'm cool with like replacing it, I'm like, okay, I'll get that one or what have you. And then otherwise they make everybody else so happy. I tend to give them away, you know? So if you like run, and I'm not too like vocal about it or anything, and I don't like to do contests and stuff like that, but when people ask me or like friends or family or whatever, and like there's something they're very excited about, I'm just like, yeah, here, take it, you know?
That's cool.
I've experienced a million wrestling figure experiences, so it's not that I don't like to have like a small collection, but it's a lot of fun to kind of give things to people that are going to be way more excited about them. So,
absolutely, that's awesome, man.
So, do you have a favorite figure in your collection? The one you won't let go, the one that means something special to you?
I do have my custom Dramatico figure from the Axe Hennig, who made that for me, and that was that's a throwback name. I haven't spoken to him in a very long time, but that was based on what essentially like matches that I've wrestled as Dramatico in that attire, like the blue trunks with the 3 stars and stuff like that I was wearing like way in the beginning when I first started doing those parodies with him. That's obviously like it's a custom, but I don't think I'd be able to give that away to somebody. So that one's really cool. As far as like, you know, actual figures, I wouldn't say there's any that I would be like absolutely no way that I would part with, but looking at them now, like again, back to that, just like one name per person. Like I think because I choose one, like that one is essentially maxed out for me, right? Like I love the ringside exclusive Warrior, for example. Like this one, I don't know. There were a lot of great Warriors at Comic-Con this year. None of them are probably going to replace this one for me. Like I love the visual of Warrior like kicking out of Triple H's pedigree. It's just like a really cool moment for me, as much as like it's kind of crazy with like the backstory that it has, but just visually, I think it looks great. And it just like, I'm like, well, this is probably going to be my kind of definitive Ultimate Warrior. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would say that's kind of more the way I think of it than like, are there any that I can't part with? It's like, well, which ones are like definitive for me, just to kind of have my own like little wrestling figure rainbow of a collection here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We get a lot of people asking, what's your favorite Ringside Collectible exclusive?
Oh man,
that's a hard one.
Yeah, geez. of all time, probably the Jax TNA Glow Paint Jeff Hardy.
Ooh,
I think that was choice. Like just such like so cool, and I do still have a loose one. The packaging turned out just like so incredible, and it was like with this great glow in the dark packaging. And the thing that like we pushed really hard on the Ringside side is like at the time Jax had done, I don't remember if Jax did it. Somebody had done like glow in the dark figures in the past, but they were like just solid glow in the dark plastic. And we just kind of knew like, you know, that's not any good. It has to like his specific paint has to glow, you know? And I think we got it to the point where like that just kind of that swash across his face was glowing, and like just the front of his shirt, and it was like, oh, you know, you don't need it was like this kind of attention to detail that I think people didn't necessarily notice or realize when it came to wrestling figures, that we really kind of like pushed the toy company Jax at the time to take that in, you know, like really make it be like a specific detail instead of making like a glow in the dark, just solid glow in the dark figure. And I think, TNA Shop or somebody like that did like a solid glow in the dark jet to try to like copy it afterwards, and I was like, sorry, we already did it. We already got like the
been there, done
awesome
that, man.
Jeff Hardy, so probably that one for Jax. I think for Mattel, I think maybe the one, either the hardcore cane or the first cane with the removable mask, probably that one with the shackle, which I think is essentially now being redone in the Legends line, which that figure looks great, but you couldn't beat that one with like the first time a cane mask like came off in the line, and Absolutely. I think for sure that's like, again, just that attention to like figure detail to really show like what kind of muscle that a toy company like that can flex with accessories when they really try. Like you can see that in just about everything Bill McKenna details and works on now. Like he very clearly like has that type of mentality with it. And
he's a wizard, man.
He for sure. And he does a great job. And just to know that like us being able to call out those types of requests and details in kind of like the process that we go through working in conjunction with the toy companies is really cool to know that those things come through. So
perfect segue for a question from Alex West. He says, what is the process for a Ringside exclusive? Do you guys ask companies for certain guys, or do companies offer you certain characters as exclusives?
Not to show a little too much of the ingredients here, so I'm gonna keep it brief, but I'll say it's a mixture of both.
Okay.
So we do definitely get suggestions, and we have really close relationships with both Jazwares and Mattel. Like those, everyone on both teams at this point, I'm happy to consider friends. Like they're all great guys. Between like the packaging department and the design department and just all the marketing department as well. We have a really great relationship with them and both companies, and they can sometimes be like, look, this is a really good idea that we have for this. What do you think about it? And, we'll maybe bounce back and forth a few names or ideas. And then otherwise we do the same. Like ultimately Ringside is the one carrying the exclusive, right? So they let us make the decision in the end. But
that's cool. For
sure, like we have some cross input there, and the same way that they're thinking of like great ideas for their standard line, they're thinking of it for Ringside exclusives as well, right? Like you can. Mm-hmm. I think it's definitely been pretty clear that you can make things that are Ringside exclusives that may not necessarily fit in the main line. At the same time, there's guys that like we have like a preference for. You've seen names like Kevin Nash and Sting as Ringside exclusives before. Like clearly we have kind of that legendary nostalgia, and that's gone back and forth with the toy companies over the years. Like, are we into Legends? Are we not into Legends? Are we, like we thankfully kind of get to avoid all that, I think, to an extent. And just going through some of the details of what we could and couldn't see it's a great collaborative effort. I'll put it that way. So.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Yeah. I was just gonna say, because like, so you leave Ringside, you join back, and we see you at New York Toy Fair in 2020, and right after that, that was the big launch of the AEW Jazwares line. Right after that, pandemic hit, but only this year recently, we're back in person. WrestleMania access. And also San Diego Comic-Con that just passed. How is it being in person and actually getting to interview people, not over Zoom, but to face-to-face?
It is, I think, definitely a lot of fun in the sense that there's like an energy to those events that you can't really fake over a Zoom meeting, right? Like, not that we don't have that energy right now in our discussion, because I think you guys have a great... I'd love to do this in person, though. It would be very cool, but you guys have like a great layout, right? Like, we don't necessarily we don't necessarily get the chance to put that. There's a million things going on in my job, so I don't get to make like an amazing branded, awesome ability to have interviews here. So I think there's like definitely some excitement to the professionalism that you're doing, but that's like it's comparable to something like a Comic-Con where there's excitement and energy to not just like new reveals, but also the toy companies being able to show off their work for the first time, right? And to kind of see some of those things in person. Like, this is a physical product at the end of the day, right? Like, they're not NFTs yet. Like it's to kind of see them makes them feel a little more hands-on, a little more real, and show off like the work a little more directly. And I think it's really cool to be back in person and be able to have those kinds of conversations in person in a way that you can feel that excitement. You know?
Yeah. Just another follow-up as well, just with San Diego Comic-Con too, because you mentioned you liked WCW just as much as you liked watching Raw when they were having the Monday Night Wars. What was your reaction to the past 2 dioramas we've seen set up at Access and San Diego Comic-Con, WCW and Raw? What are your thoughts on those 2 stages?
Those are both awesome. You can't. There's no other way to slice it. I don't know if they'll come out like exactly like that, but you kind of hope they would. I would, like fingers crossed, right? You would hope that they could make the molds for those and make it like moderately affordable in a way that we're not going to have to shell out like mad money for them. But they look great. I would love if I had, I live in pretty modestly in an apartment with just like an office and a bedroom. So I'm okay with them taking a while because I don't have the room for it right now.
Absolutely.
To do something. The thing is, like, there's 2 schools of thought. Like, there's the collector school of thought where you want to like have like a amazing looking setup and have some fun with those and even play with it then. Or there's like the kid school of thought, right? So like a kid is going to take that Nitro set and just like have all kinds of fun with it, and you don't really need a setup. You just kind of need like the Nitro set and the ring on the floor in the living room. So I really hope for those kids that would get a lot of fun out of that sort of thing, especially because it's like what we hey, me too, but you know what I mean. There's kind of like a cool vintage energy to those, and I think that is what's sometimes missing from like modern wrestling in terms of the enjoyment of it, is like that connection to the past. And as WWE has, they kind of like bring the past out in a glass case and treat it like the rose from Beauty and the Beast, where it like needs to be protected and stuff like that. And it's like, no, all you really need to do is just like get your hands on it, like feel the energy of what it was like to have like the Nitro stage with the fire going off and like the Raw's War, the Titantron, like the intensity of what it was when that lit up, when either Stone Cold's glass broke or like somebody came from WCW to WWF or whatever. Like that's what you feel when you see those stages. If they get produced, I think it really connects with a kid, to play with it connects for us too, right?
Yeah,
it's
100%.
Yeah, there's only just so much room for a lot of entrance stages. So that's all. That's all I'll say.
Says you.
Yeah.
I have a whole basement down here that I have room for all the stages.
Oh, man.
Just get them all to me.
I'm gonna move in, Tom. I'm gonna move into your basement, Tom.
Hey,
I got a nice couch down here in the theater, so
sounds fun.
Right.
But yeah, let's hope for those, right? I think I what can I say on this?
Well, we won't tell anybody.
Sure you won't. I will say that like I do foresee after like Mattel's like crowdfunding with the new gen arena and stuff like that, there's probably things to follow behind that sooner than later, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what or exactly when, or maybe I just can't say, but just know that like they're not showing those things for no reason. They're not trying to drum up that interest for no reason. And Ringside Collectibles, so we just talked about rings. What's that?
They're so cheeky, dude. They show it off. They're like, we might not release it. And then they get all this fanfare on social media. So cheeky.
It's very cheeky. Steve Ozer's a cheeky guy. That's all right. We love him for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to use their classic answer of stay tuned, but I'm going to use it. Stay tuned. Because
I love it.
things for sure happen, and this is still. Hey, look! It's the number 1 6-inch action figure line, right? The Mattel WWE, AEW also like extremely popular, like kids and adults alike. Wow, Nick! Look, Nick has an unmatched 4 chase. I don't even have that.
Well, it's a custom, but I tried.
Oh, cheater! That's right. No,
he is a cheater.
No, it's good. Man. That's the best way to do it. That's better than having to find it necessarily.
Or spend the money that they shop for.
Or that, right?
Dude, yeah. I already marked that out. I was like, I'll just make a custom. I'm not gonna find it.
Yeah. On top of the fact that he'll probably be in short trunks the next like 8 figures that are made of him. So,
yeah, dude.
Well, that is true. First Dance exclusive. I've already pre-ordered a couple of those.
Cool. Yeah. How did you guys like the way that one turned out?
Dude, absolutely.
Packaging is beautiful.
Yeah, packaging's. I love the ice cream bar tabs on the top and bottom, and the fact that it still stands up with that.
I didn't notice them at first, man, and then someone held it up, and I was like, oh my god, it's an ice cream bar. This is amazing.
Such a cool detail, and I think that's where the Jazwares team, not that I have issues with. I think the Mattel packaging team does a great job with the exclusives they give us and stuff, but like the Darby Allin coffin drop exclusive, the CM Punk First Dance exclusive.
A little bit of the bubbly going back to the first one.
Bubbly for sure.
Every blood and guts package.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone. So to be really experimental with your toy packaging, we're very lucky at Ringside to have that. And it throws right back to that kind of glow paint Jeff Hardy, right? Like when you experiment 100%. With it, the popularity of it is just like through the roof. They're like, they're classic collectible pieces, and then like classic toys.
It's ambitious enough where it's like, oh my god, this is cool, and no one's ever like it's super unique, No one's done this, so.
That Metzger costs me more money because I have to buy extra things just to keep them in that beautiful.
Yeah, Chris, you're cheeky, Chris. I'll tell you.
That means
Chris
he's doing
cheeky,
a good job.
Great guy though, and with doing great work. Like definitely just taking it to another level.
Yeah. No, it's cool. And like I was so gracious. Tom came out here for the First Dance show, and we both got to go to it together at the United Center, and it's a cool piece to kind of keep that in memory and just have that on the shelf. Be like, I was there for that. I'm gonna put my CM Punk shirt behind it. I'm gonna make it look all nice and like commemorative, and make it the whole package, man. It's super cool.
Oh, that's cool, man. And you could
from that night.
I still have
the ice cream wrapper from that night.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Stuff, and you could tell when I don't know if you saw the interview where I was talking to Punk at Comic-Con, but I think he's having a tough time with his foot, and I thankfully I didn't step on his cast, but he has like a big cast because
it went like this, dude. It went
which is just so it's like you feel really bad for the guy, and you can tell he's like maybe a little down in the dumps about it, but he knows, and you could tell in that for sure as I was like talking to him directly, like, look, you should be really excited about this because it means a lot to a lot of people, and you as a talent really mean a lot to a lot of people. And I think he kind of understood that and got that and sees that come through the the First Dance figure.
So, is
that important? Is that important with like
again? Is just amazing because I never thought we were going to get CM Punk figures again.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. It blew my mind getting double jointed elbow Punk that I never thought would happen. But is that kind of important when you do your interviews to kind of tug on that kind of emotional string when it comes? You know what I mean? Like tell the people this is what you mean to a lot of people and kind of put it into their perspective. Because when you're living in that box, it's kind of hard to see outside of it. Is that important?
Yeah. I think it depends on the person. I think a lot of them do see outside of it, and a lot of them know for sure like the importance of that because it's very important to them personally. Like, you watched Ricky Starks, for example, at Revolution this year. He was like in tears when he got to see his figure for the first time. Like it's a milestone for some people. It's just so exciting. But as far as like an interview, It depends. Like you can kind of, the way I kind of think of it is like, they can use me however they want. Like you want to, I can go toe to toe with them if they want to kind of keep their TV persona and with Ringside Collectibles, like, okay, I'm ready for that. But if you saw like Orange Cassidy, you know, right? Like he kind of stayed as Orange Cassidy. So for me to explain to him like the importance of, you know, connection with fans and stuff like that, he's probably not gonna have much to say, right? He's gonna be like, cool. Yeah. So there's that side of it. But then there are the people that, if you can really like get into the nitty gritty of what this means to people as from like a connection perspective, from like a fan to a wrestler, or like a wrestler and then a wrestler to a fan specifically, because they can always be like, oh yeah, the fans, but at the same time, like you really kind of can see it and touch it when action figures come out, and you know that people are like doing things with these, whether it's like playing with them or bringing them to signings or what have you. It's like this really perfectly, action figures are like the perfect fit for wrestling. They just kind of always will be, I think. Like even as you play with toys when you're younger, like as a little kid, like you might grow out of like a Ninja Turtle or a Ghostbuster or what have you, but like playing, but wrestling, like you could play with wrestlers at any age. There's no, there's like, you know, even if you're by yourself, it's all right. I'm not gonna judge, but like, it's, you know, like go for it. If you're having fun with it, do it. You know,
it's okay to play. That's it.
It's absolutely okay to play. That's their toys. That's what they're made for, right?
Right.
The amount of times I'm just like, I catch myself just like using the articulation on some of these figures. I'm just like, oh, now I'm just playing with toys. So
yeah. So that's some of the best things, right? You know, like just you can't go wrong with. Just like pop off Iron Sheik's helmet. Oh yeah, for sure. Whoops.
Is that the Legend Series 1?
That's Legends 1 Sheik. Or is it
Beautiful
1?
Sheik.
Whatever, whatever series he was in, this is the one.
Yeah, I love that figure. That's a great
classic.
Yeah.
So speaking of figures, what's one figure that has eluded your collection, or just a release in general that you could possibly think of off the top of your head?
Wrestling related or anything?
Let's go anything.
I don't know if there is anything that's eluded me at this point, because NECA did come out with those like 1990 movie Ninja Turtles, which is what I always wanted for Ninja Turtles. I'm starting to get a little like kind of off of them though, because they're very like harsh plastic, and I wish they had like the articulation that like Mattel figures do, you know, and they were using that kind of plastic. So I'll say that. I think if there's a chance that one day, yes, we have like the super detailed, like really beautiful kind of like movie Ninja Turtles, but if one day like they can come out with like a little less detail and a little more articulation, that's probably like the ones that are eluding me at this point.
NECA has some great stuff, dude. I've been collecting some NECA stuff lately, like the Pennywise, Homelander, ton of great stuff, man.
I can't wait for the ET toys to hit this fall.
Those look great. Yeah. Those look great. Yeah. I will say, and I know earlier I said I'm not somebody that collects every single figure in a line, but NECA caught me on the Toonie Terrors figures.
Awesome.
So I've picked up every single one at this point, other than the bloody variants, because I just, I don't really need a variant or whatever. But I have, I'm gonna essentially own every Toonie Terror as long as they make them.
Dude,
and what
Matt,
I do,
Matt Goldberg and myself, man, we were talking about all the Toonie Terrors. So he's probably having a good time listening to this. So.
They're great, and I think the one thing that is like extra cool about them for me is I actually put them away. So, and I only take them out and I set them up across the house as like in addition to Halloween decorations.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
And so like, that just makes them like even more fresh for me. Like, yeah, you kind of want your figures to be on display all the time, but I found that it's been like really, really cool to put them away when Halloween season's over, and then when Halloween comes back, like set them up around the house.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely. No, I got some Simpsons toys that are like holiday themed. They have a Christmas set. I have, Treehouse of Horror ones that I always bring out during the holidays, just to spice things up a little bit. Not your everyday decor for the holidays. So kind of you make yourself stand out, and it's cool, man.
I love fits, that. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, before we spin the wheel, guys, why don't we get to our very special edition of
Always, I'm so vibing.
Who does the vocals on Toys in the Attic? I've been wondering.
It's a good mixture of lots of hard effort on the Turnbuckle Tavern.
Great quality.
Appreciate it.
You might have brought a toy for Toy in the Attic today.
I might have brought a few.
All right, let's see them.
We're here for it.
So first one's first. I have a. So this is like probably one of the most meaningful that I have. I have a Michelangelo movie master. What was it called? Jeez, I don't even know the name of the line. This is an old like Playmates Michelangelo. I know these have been like remade over the years and stuff like that, but this is like when they originally came out, there was this commercial that was like, look, here's the movie style turtles and they're bendable, and just like look how they look like Muppets.
Yeah.
And way back in the day, like I just wanted this like so bad. I'm talking like 6 or 7 years old. I was like, man, those are great. I really want those ones. And I was only ever able to find the samurai ones from Turtles 3, and
yes,
those are cool. But also like I've always had like a really strong attachment to the very first movie, and so I was able to trade for these like maybe a decade ago, and I gave one of each character to both my brothers and a cousin of mine. So like,
it's cool.
I've got Michelangelo, and they have Raph and Don and Leo.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Like this is like if my house was like caught on fire and I had to grab one toy before I ran out, it's probably this one.
I love it, man. It's cool.
So another couple things I do have one of my first ever Jurassic Park purchases. So here's the spitter.
Nice.
Yes. And this is like way back. I got this from like a Toys R Us like way back in the day. And you dip its head in, and you can he's got like a squeezable stomach. You can spit the water out or what have you.
Dude, yeah.
It's got the official JP seal on the leg right there.
I was just about to ask. Is it the JP? I love
does.
that line. I was such a mark for those when I was a kid.
Yeah, these were everything. just an absolute blast to play with those. The other kind of cool thing that I bought, like as a kind of a 12, 13-year-old maybe, was Mezco. Mezco Toys came out with this line called Cryptozoology.
Ooh.
And they had, so I'm a big like cryptozoology fan. Like I love dinosaurs and stuff like that, but I'm just like, I have major obsessions with all kinds of like monsters and stuff across the world, whether they're real or not. Like I love the stories and like the folklore and aspect of it and stuff like that. So it's really kind of evolved to this really cool thing to me. And back in the day, Mezco made this line called Cryptozoology that had Bigfoot, Mothman, and the Jersey Devil. And I lost my Mothman, but I still have my Bigfoot. So this is like, this is the Bigfoot from the Mezco line. And he also comes with like a plaster cast of the footprint.
Awesome.
I just like,
Dude, that
I
thing
love
is good
it.
to today's standards. Like that's
and I love it. And it was so like accessible. It was like $6, and I found it in Toys R Us, and it was like I got this one and Mothman, and they were also making a Loch Ness monster, and it just never came out. So it was like,
dude, I need
one of those things where when I knew how to email on the internet, like when I was like, I can find out like who the marketing manager is of this company, that I was emailing like, will you ever come out with that Loch Ness monster? Before there was like social media and you had to like actually send an email to ask toy questions. But I not only is the detail on this great, but like if you kind of mold the articulation and give it that like the swinging arms look, you know, and like the stepping foot.
Crazy,
it looks like the I don't, you know, I'm really like dating myself with cryptozoology info here, but like the Patterson Gimlin film, which is like the most famous like Bigfoot imagery ever, you can pose it just to look just like that. And I was just like, I always thought this was the coolest, you know, the absolute coolest toy.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah. And speaking of cryptids, I have one more, and that's it. I swear.
We're here for it.
Keep talking.
No, I don't. This line didn't have a name, but it also was like, here's some cryptids. You know, it was like cryptozoology toys. I don't even know the name of the toy company, but they did a Loch Ness monster in the style of like a plesiosaur like this, and it came with a little scroll that was like telling the story of you know, who the Loch Ness monster was and stuff like that. And these were in KB Toys back in the day, just kind of like sitting there, you know, like never mind to who they belong to or who made them or what. But this is another one that's just it's literally just like a plesiosaur like plastic figure, but the fact that it was like branded in the box with Loch Ness monster, I was so into back then, and I absolutely love this one too. Kind of a kind of a goofy face, but that's all right. You know, some of your favorite toys, they've got that goofy nostalgia, right? So,
absolutely,
goofiness.
Yeah. So those are the ones from my attic.
I love it. Absolutely love it, man. Good showing right there.
Yeah, for sure.
And just a shout out to real quick to your emailing story. I'll never forget. I was probably like 13, and I emailed Ringside one time before I put an order through. And I was like, hey guys, I'm just a sucker for accessories. If there's any you have laying around that I could buy from you, I'd be happy to. And I put in an order before that. They included it with my order, but there was like 10 tables, a bunch of chairs. And this is like Jack's Pacific, Bone Cruncher, Titantron Live era. And
man.
My heart, like it made me a customer for life. I'm 34 years old, going on 35, still ordering from Ringside Collectibles, man.
That's awesome.
That's just based on that little happy story.
Jonathan a car by now.
Yeah, or two,
or three.
Yeah,
listen, we love our wrestling figures. We have it's time to spin the wheel, and you know we're giving away an AEW shop exclusive. Everybody who's commented on Twitch for the last 2 weeks, for every time you've commented on each show, guys, let's share the wheel right now. You all have an entry. I updated it with today's comments.
Wait, do I have an entry?
You have 2 entries.
Yeah. There it is right there. It showed up small.
Look at Tom's beautiful face right next to it.
I was like, man, I'm really getting a lot of focus here, dude.
You get the love.
Why does it disappear?
There it is.
Oh, there we go. Now it's bigger.
Now we're in.
And as you can see down here, everybody who entered today, down at the bottom, everybody who commented right there. Let's spin the wheel and see who's going to win the AEW shop exclusive. But before we do that, let's just tease. When we reach 800 followers on YouTube, and we're close, we're going to have a major contest, a contest that's going to put this one to shame to get us to 1,000 followers on YouTube, guys. So stay tuned for that one. But right now, let's spin the wheel. Let's see who the lucky person is.
Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum,
man, this makes me think of Wheel.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I believe this was the last entrance tonight that came.
Yeah. See, that's how lucky you can be down here at the Turnbuckle Tavern.
That's very lucky.
This guy just won a boatload of stuff. Not just a shop AEW exclusive Kenneth Omega, but you're going to get some stickers and maybe some little ramblings on my behalf, too.
Yeah,
so I'm very excited for you, buddy.
Yeah. I want to give a quick shout out as well to Ace Savage, dude.
Yeah.
Send me an email at tom@theturnbuckletavern.com or reach out to us on our social media. But the fastest way, tom@theturnbuckletavern.com. I'll get right back to you. I'll get this thing in the mail to you tomorrow with a bunch of other goodies, too. So, Tom, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
This was a blast, man. This was absolutely a blast.
Anytime, guys.
We would love to have you
do it.
And guys, before you go, let's just plug our code. We haven't even plugged our code today. What's wrong with us? Go to Ringside Collectibles. When you're done making your purchase, use code Tavern. Save 10%. RingsideCollectibles.com, WrestlingFigures.com. You know, there's always sales. Save that extra 10%, guys.
Tavern is my preferred code.
There you go.
Hey,
Good.
That's
you
my
heard it here first.
So,
Stamp of approval. And if not, that YMCA John Moxley's going to come over and put it into you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for letting me join. And again, like happy to do it at any time. So just
we'll definitely have you back. We'll talk after. Cool. Let's go for now. We'll see you next week, guys.